I spend a lot of time in court, the youth services, counselors, and I try to put all of those together to help the families and the children, because we have to help the families to help the children. I interview children at schools, at their homes. I interview parents, neighbors, teachers, coaches, preachers, anyone that has anything to do with the child. And I try to put a story together on a piece of paper to give to the judge before the judge makes a ruling. And this brings the child's story out. There are sleepless nights the night before court because we don't always get to speak in court. They read our report, and it's hard to put on paper what you know and you see with your own eyes for the judge to draw a picture as the judge reads the report.
It's scary to be the eyes and ears of the judge, but it's even scarier to know the child may not have a voice. I became an advocate with CASA because I wanted children to be able to have the voice that I didn't have as a child growing up in an abusive and neglectful environment. CASA is a hard job, but I keep doing it because at the end of the day, no matter how hard it is, it's harder to know that no one is speaking up for these children and that these children could be in really negative environments.
Without CASA, this community will lose a lot of children, and a lot of children will be in a really unsafe environment and abused and neglected without the voice of CASA. My role as an advocate is just to actually speak for the children. Go in, investigate the home, see what kind of condition the home is in, and make sure that the children are safe, not being abused or neglected. Being a CASA advocate, all you need is a heart for children. And I think if you got a heart for children, that's going to be your gift. And when you go in and you are able to speak for the voice of the child, it's going to really make a difference in that child's life. When you look back and you're able to see your child prospering, succeeding in school, and begin to grasp a hold of goals and aspirations that they want to do and try to fulfill those, it really makes me feel like a hero. And actually, they are the heroes. If you have a desire to make a difference in any child's life, that's one way you could do it, is through CASA.
What it all boils down to is every kid has a story. And I personally get to listen to their story and in turn relay what, their best needs and what they want to the judge. In 2016, me and my wife were foster parents, and we met the two twin boys that we have today. We had them as a placement, and they went back to their parents for a while. And then there was some things happened with them personally, and their parents contacted us to be able to see if we could, watch them and just take care of them for a while. And during that time, CASA was there at court when we got temporary custody of them. That's when CASA started in my story and the kid's story, for the first time. And with that, we had, from the get-go, we had a CASA advocate. That was looking out for the best interest of the boys. And it's good to see firsthand, an extent, like I get to personally be a volunteer. I chose to be a volunteer of CASA because of this. I've seen the firsthand of how, they've helped the boys. They actually want the best for them, and that inspired me to be a CASA advocate. They truly are involved in the child's lives.
So my favorite memory is when I met Winter and JJ. Winter was 3 years old and really couldn't verbalize her side of the story. And she was very sad and sat with her arms crossed all the time. I would sit next to her and try to make contact with her or conversation. She wouldn't look up, never smiled. And JJ was the same way. He was more verbal and older, so he was able to talk to me and tell his story. He told me about how his dad had beat his mother so bad that she broke bones, and he had to witness it all. And he wanted to do something to help her, but he couldn't. After I wrote the report, we got to court, and the children both testified. The judge ruled in our favor. The judge kept the children with their mother. The case was appealed, went to higher court. I stayed with the children in their lives. We got another ruling where the children got to stay with their mother, and I've maintained a relationship and in their lives for 3 years. And now I go to their house and make carameled apples and homemade ice cream. So in this case, I think back of how things could have gone so differently had I not written a report and the judge was not able to hear the whole story, how those children would still be back in that home. It's very satisfying to see a child turn the page, a new chapter in their life. The children need CASA, and CASA needs advocates. So if there's any spare time in your life, being a CASA advocate is where you should spend it.
I think it's been amazing to be able to see these kids have that new chapter. It's awesome to know when you watch a kid go from never going to school to being able to get into school and learn to read and get into the classes that they need, and then go back the following year and see that they're graduating. I feel like this is just something that we as society should be doing if we want to create a productive society for our future.
CASA is a big benefit for this community and other communities that they work. And if anyone has a desire for children and want to keep them safe, keeping them out of harm's way when it comes to abuse and neglect, CASA is the way to do that.
CASA, or Court-Appointed Special Advocates of Bradley and Polk Counties, is a community of volunteer advocates that speak up for the best interests of children that are involved in our court system due to abuse and neglect. Every child's life is like a storybook. As is the case in many stories, a chapter may come that is hard to get through alone. With an advocate by their side, no child has to face this chapter by themselves. CASA's volunteers are the heroes of a child's life story, working to turn the page to a new chapter full of love and happily ever afters. Advocates are able to guide a child from a scary chapter of their life to a beautifully written chapter full of self-worth and happiness. This new chapter is full of security and serenity. That child finally feels safe and has all the tools they need to write their own happy ending. Just like any true hero, CASA volunteers get very little recognition for their hard work. In many cases, they may never fully see the impact their advocacy has had in changing that child's story. But they serve in this role because they are tired of hearing sad stories of abuse and neglect. And they know that there is a way for them to take action and show support for the children in their community. You too can change a child's story through becoming a volunteer advocate with CASA, or through a financial donation towards the work CASA does to advocate for the children of Bradley and Polk Counties.